Meghan Markle was stopped by the royals from giving gossipy stories more oxygen. Meghan Markle and the British royal family's uncomfortable past has been brought to light courtesy of the recently disclosed court documents. A source cited by People revealed that the Duchess of Sussex was greatly annoyed by the royals for their persistent need of pulling her back from making statements or defending herself against inaccurate claims going rife about her in the press. The go-to position, at the palace, was no comment or to ignore stories, and people actively prevented her from responding to stuff that we knew to be untrue. That is what she is taking issue with, said the insider. The grapevine further spilled that in spite of the stress the fake stories were causing Meghan, the royals believed that starting a war with the media often made things worse. The palace teams are faced with the difficulty that when things go wrong, particularly on private life matters, quite often, any action taken with the media makes it worse, said the source. It's not that the royal household doesn't want to help, more that they don't want to make it worse by giving a gossipy story more oxygen, they added. Earlier, court documents from Meghan and Harry's lawsuit against Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday claimed that the Duchess felt unprotected and silenced during her time as a working royal. The documents state, Meghan Markle had become the subject of a large number of false and damaging articles by the UK tabloid media, specifically by the Mail on Sunday, which caused tremendous emotional distress and damage to her mental health. As her friends had never seen her in this state before, they were rightly concerned for her welfare, specifically as she was pregnant, unprotected by the institution and prohibited from defending herself, they further added.
Meghan Markle's treatment in the royal family was disappointing, says MLK3. Martin Luther King III criticized the British royal family in a recent interview over the unfair treatment they had towards Meghan Markle. Speaking to iNews, the son of the acclaimed civil rights activist said he was greatly disappointed with the way the Duchess of Sussex was treated, adding that it wasn't surprising either given the fact that she came from an unconventional background. The reports that I saw were very difficult reports of how she was treated. I'm not surprised. In other words, it's not like oh, wow, that's a surprise because these institutions have been here forever, he said. And the institutions have been structured in a certain way. So when you operate as Harry just happening to fall in love with someone who is not in the traditional set of circumstances, then there was going to be pushback, he went on to say. I think that's the process that we have to still continue to work through to rid our society of racism, he added. He went on to reflect on the recent unrest that was sparked in America over the death of George Floyd. If my father just arrived here today and saw what was going on, he would be greatly pleased that young white kids, along with black kids, are joining in this movement. But he'd be greatly disappointed about where we are, how our progress had stalled for a number of years, that we've not made further progress.
Is Prince Harry really prepared to face up to the Commonwealth's past? When people such as Prince Harry say they want us to face up to the past, do they really mean it? It's a demanding task, needing patience, humility, and effort. Some people spend their whole lives on it. It means understanding people from very different cultures with very different values. It means acquiring some feeling for the hard physical conditions they had to face, their insecurity, their limited resources, the always slow and often imperfect spread of information, and the frequent illnesses and pains they took for granted. It means gaining some insight into their beliefs about the universe, their understanding of their own history, their fears about their present, and their expectations of the future. Facing up to the past should make us less sure of our own superiority. Is Prince Harry, who said, when talking about the Commonwealth, that we need to look at the past to move forward, prepared for that? Once in a remote part of Queensland, my host showed me the unpublished diary of the family who in the 1880s had set up the cattle station they owned. It was a pathetic record of illnesses, of stock running away, in pre-barbed wire days, of loneliness, of harsh surroundings, of near despair after high hopes, and of early death. Today, many would condemn those people as racist land stealers, as genocidal displacers of Aboriginal people. Is that really what they were? Is that their whole story? Have we the right to pass judgment from our privileged position unless we regard ourselves as the unique pinnacle of human achievement? And I have an uncomfortable feeling that some people do. The answer is no. There are of course things in the past that were utterly evil and known at the time to be so. But most human experience is shades of gray. Facing up to the past, in this and many other cases, is not about passing sanctimonious judgment, but of understanding a shared history which is sometimes a shared tragedy, and trying to use that understanding for reconciliation and progress. So I am somewhat cautious when people urge us to face up to our past. What they seem really to want is that we should accept the selective one-dimensional view of history that they are dictating, and which advances their interests and flatters their virtuousness. And they are often dictating from a position of ignorance, or of political expediency, or both. When Prince Harry, who is visibly sincere and well-meaning, recently spoke of the need to acknowledge the past. It was wholly unclear what he meant. When he urged us to right those wrongs, he did not say which. Vagueness is prudent, but also rather dangerous, for it can sound like a call to propagate indiscriminate collective guilt and unexamined collective victimhood. His context was the Commonwealth, but presumably he did not see that benign and innocuous institution as itself guilty, but who knows? Presumably the couple were alluding to the Commonwealth's prehistory, the British Empire, and ultimately to slavery. Is it really necessary to repeat again that the British Empire was the institution that more than any other, and at crucial times single-handedly, reduced slavery from being a globally practiced and legally recognized institution as old as humanity, to a despised criminal activity lingering only in dark corners of human society? But let's leave that one, important though it is. We should indeed face up to the history of the empire, but what is that history? The empire was, as one historian puts it, a global mosaic of almost ungraspable complexity and staggering contrasts. Anyone who is interested can educate themselves, as activists like to say, if they can be bothered. The Oxford History of the British Empire includes 19 volumes and has a bibliography of over 600 pages. But knowledge and understanding are not, I think, the aims of those who summon us to inherited penitence. Gramsci taught us about the tyranny of cultural hegemony. Orwell warned of the control of thought through the control of language, and how power is gained by dictating the historical narrative. He who controls the past controls the future, and he who controls the present controls the past. That is precisely what all this is about. The Commonwealth embodied a grown-up decision not to be dominated by past crimes and conflicts, but to accept the legacy of history and build on it for the benefit of the future. One of the wrongs to be righted now is the neglect of the Commonwealth, often tinged with contempt, by many British politicians and diplomats who lost interest in it during the 1960s when it refused to be an obedient instrument of British policy. The Commonwealth largely survives today because of the lifetime commitment of the Queen. Britain now has both a duty and an interest in fostering Commonwealth links to mutual benefit. That is indeed a way to acknowledge the past, as perhaps Prince Harry was suggesting. Teaching British children something of the true history of the Empire and the Commonwealth is a desirable step. But propagating an unending saga of guilt and victimhood is neither true to the past nor beneficial to the future.
AIDS 2020 conference, Prince Harry less anxious without Meghan Markle in message. Prince Harry shared a personal message from his new Los Angeles home for the opening ceremony of AIDS 2020 conference. He spoke about the importance of being resilient during challenging times. On Wednesday, the Duke of Sussex joined virtually to address the 23rd International AIDS Conference on behalf of his Sunnyvale patronage. In his message for the largest conference on HIV and AIDS, he encouraged people to find resilience, a virtue everyone is learning during the coronavirus pandemic. This year's theme is resilience, something all of us around the globe has understood, specifically in recent months. For many, digging deep to find that resilience has been a challenging experience, Prince Harry said in a message that he gave from the gardens of his new rented Los Angeles mansion. The clip features Harry and young leaders at the Sunnyvale. As you're about to see, these young people are willing to speak out against injustice, be role models to their peers, support HIV prevention, and challenge limiting systems in the hope of a more inclusive and accepting environment for all, Harry added. The video message was shared by the non-profit organization on its official Twitter account. Meanwhile, a body language expert Judy James believes that the Duke looked less anxious as he delivered the message all by himself, without his wife Meghan. James compared Harry's message for Sunnyvale and Harry and Meghan's joint message for Queen's Commonwealth Trust. Both were delivered recently and apparently shows two sides of the royal. Speaking with Daily Star, James said that the royal father appeared more comfortable speaking alone. Meanwhile, she describes their joint message as uncomfortable-looking performance whereby she believed he was royally upstaged by Meghan. She goes on to say that even though Meghan is not in the latest video, she might just be present there as the prince records the message. James suggests it would be unusual for her to not get involved. Harry's body language and his presenting techniques suggest he's less anxious now. He's not fidgeting as he waits his turn from someone who is a formidable act to follow, but his level of performance still suggests some discomfort, James explains. His eye contact is more defined than it was with Meghan, but he is making a speech rather than tuning into his audience as individuals, so he still looks camera-wary, with some micro-grimaces of his mouth hinting at how hard he's trying to get it right. In addition, she praises Meghan's speaking skills and says that she is a very adept inspirational speaker as her words come from her heart. As for Harry, she claims, he is still learning on the job.
Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, to join forces with Michelle Obama for Girl Up Summit. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is teaming up with Michelle Obama for the upcoming Girl Up Leadership Summit. Representatives for the Girl Up Foundation announced the news on Twitter on Tuesday, 07 June 20, revealing the former actress will be a special guest at the virtual event being held from 13 to 15 July 20, where former First Lady Michelle is also set to appear. The present is female. But don't take our word for it. Hear Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex's advice for global girls leaders when she takes the stage at the 2020 Girl Up Leadership Summit, happening virtually July 13 to 15. The post reads, Girl Up is an initiative working to uplift a new generation of young women as a force for gender equality. Actress Priyanka Chopra Jones, who attended Meghan's wedding to Prince Harry in 2018, will also be appearing at the 3-day virtual event, where she will take part in a Q&A. Meghan has been a long-standing advocate of equality and human rights, previously delivering a powerful speech at the UN Women Conference in 2015 detailing her campaign against sexism. The 38-year-old former actress and her husband Harry have been making several socially distanced appearances via video calls with charity leaders during the coronavirus outbreak. The upcoming summit will mark the former Suits star's first speaking engagement since the couple stepped down as senior royals in March 20.